From the snowed-over suburbs of Atlanta, Georgia, I'm Carl Azus, and this is CNN Student News. First up today, a line of freezing rain, sleet, and snow has shut down parts of the South from Louisiana to North Carolina. Several people have died in the winter blast, and dozens have been injured, many of them in traffic accidents. States of emergency were declared in Alabama and Georgia, and the National Guard was called in both states to help people stranded on the road.
First priority was look for people that were stranded, hadn't had any food or water, and to bring that to them. If they needed to go to a shelter, we try to find out where the closest one was for them, direct them there.
The city of Atlanta, Georgia is known for having bad traffic on a good day. So when the snow hit, shutting down surface roads and interstates, stranding students for hours on buses and commuters overnight in their cars, some were wondering whom to blame. Georgia's governor mentioned the forecast, which called for significantly less snow than many places actually got. Atlanta's mayor said it was worsened when schools, businesses, and government agencies all told workers to go home at the same time. He said better coordination is needed. Whatever or whoever was responsible, the roads were rife with wrecks.
Snowmageddon in a major city, an auto graveyard on the interstate, semi-trucks jackknifed, cars abandoned by the hundreds, others struggling. Over 1,000 accidents were reported in the city of Atlanta and the greater area. Look at these school buses, children stranded inside them. Nearly 100 children were stuck on buses until about midnight. Other kids had to sleep at their schools. Good Samaritans tried to free cars that had been stuck for hours. Trucker Greg Schrader had been stuck in his truck for 23 hours when he spoke to CNN.
I've seen hundreds of accidents. I'm not stuck on anything. There's nowhere to go.
All from a snowfall of at most 3.5 inches and a layer of ice so slippery these kids could play hockey on it. Atlanta's mayor admits the government was partly to blame because schools and government offices let people out at about the same time businesses shut down in the early afternoon on Tuesday.
Is that how it really escalates so quickly? Everyone hitting the road at the same time?
It does. Practically, if everybody is hitting the road at the same time, your demand on the transportation network will be so high that the corresponding capacity or supply of your network will not be able to handle such demand.
In Atlanta, that led to people taking 12, 14 hours or longer to get home. In these situations, one traffic expert says, drivers become distracted by stressful conditions, trying to stay warm, take care of children in the vehicle. They often don't obey traffic laws at those moments, he says, and in many places, a simple lack of driving skill is a huge factor.
Since 2011, we've been reporting on the civil war in the Middle Eastern nation of Syria. It's complicated, involving forces that want to protect the Syrian government, rebels who want that government out of power, and terrorists trying to get their own foothold in Syria. We don't know when this will end, but we did get a look inside Aleppo, an ancient city, Syria's largest city, a city that's been at the heart of the fighting.
Takeoff from a Damascus airfield. The Syrian government packed about 20 journalists into a plane and didn't tell us where we were going. But we soon found out it was Aleppo, one of the most dangerous places in Syria.
The airport in Aleppo has been closed for many months, and the folks who are operating this plane say that we're apparently the first civilian flight that's going to land there since it was closed. Not exactly sure that's a good thing, but we hope it goes well.
Local officials seemed as relieved as us after we landed safely. They sent a welcoming party, including the governor of Aleppo. His main focus, the negotiations between the Syrian regime and the opposition in Geneva. What we want from Geneva is to stop foreign money, fighters, and weapons coming into Syria, he says. We as Syrians can reconcile with each other and make our own government to rebuild our country. The Assad regime wants to show it's winning in Aleppo, though we weren't sure how spontaneous these shows of support for the regime actually were as we toured areas recently recaptured by the Syrian army. Soldiers say they have rebels on the defensive, but the going is tough. Al-Qaeda were the worst people to fight against, the soldier says. They are Islamists. They see us as infidels, and they want to kill us. The situation in Aleppo is remarkable. The city is one of the worst affected by the civil war, and yet the streets in some districts are packed, shops well stocked. But only a few blocks away, destruction is clearly visible, and heavy fighting continues to rage, as we saw when we visited a regime sniper position.
The government is very keen to show us the gains that it's made here in Aleppo, but Aleppo still is very much a divided city. If you look over the skyline, and we are at a very high vantage point, everything to this area here is government controlled, but everything that is to the left of that is in the hands of rebel forces.
Time for the shout out. The Rangers are a special operations unit associated with what branch of the U.S. military? If you think you know it, shout it out. Is it the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, or the Marines? You've got 3 seconds. Go. U.S. Army Rangers are tough soldiers who are specially trained in close combat. That's your answer, and that's your shout out. During Tuesday night's State of the Union address, there was something that everyone, Republicans and Democrats, could agree on. It's that Corey Remsburg is a hero. He's 30 years old, a U.S. Army Ranger who joined the service on his 18th birthday. He's one of many heroes from the recent wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. And just by attending the presidential address, Sergeant First Class Remsburg brought the U.S. government to its feet.
My recovery has not been easy, he says. Nothing in life that's worth anything is easy.
Perhaps the loudest applause delivered during the State of the Union went not to the president, but to this man, Army Ranger Corey Remsburg.
Corey is here tonight. And like the Army he loves, like the America he serves, Sergeant First Class Corey Remsburg never gives up, and he does not quit. Corey.
His story of bravery and recovery is both incredible and inspiring. Remsburg led a squad in Afghanistan back in 2009. It was his 10th deployment overseas. On October 1st, he and his fellow soldiers successfully battled off insurgents on the outskirts of Kandahar. But on their way back to base, they would trigger a 500-pound roadside bomb. One of his soldiers, 24-year-old Sergeant Robert Sanchez, was killed. Remsburg was tossed into the air by the blast, his head smashed in by shrapnel, the wound still visible today. He was in a coma for 3 months. President Obama first met Remsburg in the hospital in 2009, visiting several times in his years of recovery. And his recovery is nothing short of miraculous.
Even now, Corey's still blind in one eye. Still struggles on his left side. But slowly, steadily, with the support of caregivers like his dad, Craig, and the community around him, Corey has grown stronger. And day by day, he's learned to speak again, and stand again, and walk again. And he's working toward the day when he can serve his country again.
It's time for the CNN Student News Roll Call. We're starting with the Cherokees of Morgan Township Middle High School. They're watching from Valparaiso, Indiana. Next, we've got some Broncos, but not from Denver. These are online in Florence, Arizona. Hello to Poston Butte High School. And in Trinity, Alabama, we're waving to the Eagles of East Lawrence High School. Thank you all for watching. Before we go, we can make snowballs, snow forts, snowmen, but check out these snow rollers. This natural phenomenon was caught on camera in Columbus, Ohio. It's shaped by the hands of the wind. Basically, a strong breeze bumps up against a chunk of snow, starts it rolling, and leaves it curled up in someone's yard. You can call them snow rolls, snow rollers, or snow donuts. They all sound delicious. And there's nothing unnatural about them. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, I'm running out of snow puns. Just the thought of more makes me freeze up, makes my mind melt. It's nothing to bawl about, but some warmer weather would help us thaw out some new ideas. I'm Carl Azus, and we're forecasting more news and puns tomorrow.